Good morning and welcome. It's July 9th. It's a Tuesday, and I'm not in sunny California. It should be sunny, but we have a second day of fog. We've had sort of the cold ocean that works like an ice tray condense the warm air into fog. So this morning it is overcast and fog. And it's cool. It's about 67 degrees, so that's not too bad. But I want to welcome you to my podcast. It is live, and you're here to fight with me with CPS and learn and keep your children. You don't let your children go. And let me adjust my picture so I'm not so far down on the screen. I know it's a horrible experience that CPS has been drawn to you. The child protection system is corrupt. It's worse than the IRS. And I'm a loving father. I have 6 children. I've been married 31 years, almost 32. And today is very special to me because one of my children is now turned 22. And that child is my daughter, who I've been talking about, who's been stolen and trafficking by CPS. So sad because I want to wish her a happy birthday. But unfortunately, when CPS took my children, the case was sued for 3 years, and then the caseworker decided to lie on the stand, and we caught her in her lie. And then she wanted to retaliate and said, "You're never going to see your daughter." And what she did is that she was told by the caseworker at the age of 12 to divorce your parents, to change your name, to seal your birth certificate, and be adopted into foster care or trafficking into foster care. And that's so sad because, you know, I haven't seen her since she's 12. My wife hasn't seen her. My son still visit her because I encourage that, even though she's divorced from them. But that's one of the hardest things you got to accept about CPS. They're very corrupt, and they will ruin you. They ruined me. I've lost my home. I had to sell my home to hire an attorney. I lost my credit, so I don't have any credit. That home took 40 years to acquire. It's a lot of hard work for 40 years, but it is hard. But I want you to know that I care about you all and I want to help you any way I can. I'm not an attorney, but I have 4 rules that will help you. And I have people that come on right now. I'm going to try to see if they can come on right now. Hmm. There's 3 people that are on my show regularly. Sometimes I don't get the notifications, so I've notified them. Also, some of you call in when I'm not on my show. I cannot take calls in. So, let's see here. Hmm. Well, okay. So notified the people that regularly visit the podcast. And I want to go over some of the ground rules for this room and what you can do. It's an interactive podcast, meaning that you can interact with me. There's several ways you can do it. One way is by texting me in the comments section. I'm broadcasting on YouTube. I'm using the StreamYard application. And when you're typing in comments, make sure it's about CPS. That's what this room is about, the Child Protection System. Please show your name, your city, your state, or country, and be complete with your CPS case. Don't do a lot of ping pong ball. I'm not very good at that. So, you need to start off from the beginning, the number of children involved, the arrangements you and your spouse have with your boyfriends, different fathers, husband, or whatever it is, and then the allegations, whether it's neglect or abuse or both, and how they went about taking your children. Did they come to your house and you let them take your children? Did you use a court order, like a warrant? How they get your children, and where are your children? And then what is the current status of your case? And then I can help you answer your questions and so forth. So please generate some comments. I get comments from around the world. I've had Australia and Canada and Mexico text in. I've also had from Europe, the United Kingdom, Sweden, and Denmark. And I've had one country, Ghana, from Brazil. It's located north of Brazil, east of Venezuela, along the coast there. They text in. And then I've had several countries from Africa. I've had Mozambique, which is in southern Africa, north of South Africa, south of Somalia, and across from the island of Madagascar. I've had Rwanda, which is near a big lake in East Africa. And then I've had Liberia. Now, Liberia is on the west coast of northern Africa, and he's texting a lot. His name is Archie, and he really wants to help protect the kids. He's a scouter, runs a scouting program, but he drops in from time to time. So I encourage everybody from around the world, from the United States, to text in your questions or concerns and how I may be able to help you. Um, the last way you can participate in this podcast is you can arrange to be a guest on my show. Now, to schedule as our guest, all you need to do is email our show producer, who is Grace, and she's much appreciated, but she will help you with the link to StreamYard and help you be on the show and so forth. All you have to do is let her know the date and time. Now, I'm on 7 days a week, twice a day. So once in the morning at 10 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, except for Sunday, I'm on at 8 o'clock. And then I'm on the evenings at 7 o'clock for an hour Pacific Standard Time. So that's twice a day for 7 days. That's 14 shows. So all you have to do is pick one of those and tell Grace what show you'd like to be on, and I'd love to have you. And I look forward to you being a guest on my show. Many of you have done, and it's helped out other people by doing so. Now, the last way that you can be interactive show is by calling in. And all you have to do is call in to 626-698-0990. That's my office number. I'll answer it if I'm on. That means 10 to 11 on the mornings and 7 to 8 in the evenings. And I'll answer your call. That's 626-698-0990. That's my phone number. Now, there's another number there posted on the screen. That's 888 That's my office. That's also the number you'd schedule a consultation with Mr. Davis, who's the producer of the show. Thanks to him, he has this forum for us to talk about and try to keep our children and protect our children. Now, all you need to do if you want to have a consultation with him, I strongly urge you do, is 888 He is an attorney for 35 years. He's a professional licensed family dependency attorney. And he's been doing this, as I say, for 35 years. He does know how to fight CPS, and he knows how to get your children back. So he has a consultation for 30 minutes for $60. 30 minutes for $60. And you can contact him and talk about your case. It's a sad day for me. I'm thinking about my daughter. I'll try to think of more happy notes here. Another way you can contact my attorney is that there's a ticket right on the bottom of the screen. And you start off with Candly, CALENDLY.com /law office of VWD /Bob Pace. That takes him to his website where his calendar is posted so you see when he's available. All you need to do is type in Candly, CALENDLY.com /law office of VWD /Bob Pace, and you'll see his schedule. It's being shown on the bottom of my screen. So you either call in at 888 and set up a consultation with him. Make sure you tell him that Bob Pace sent you when you call in. Also tell him that Bob Pace sent you too. So that is really important. So that's two ways of getting hold of Mr. Davis. And he'd love to talk to you. As I say, he does a strategy, everything like that. It's okay. So, all you listeners out there, there's very cheap advice. He's $60 for 30 minutes, and he's the best there is in the country. And um, he will help you navigate and tell you how to fight your case. And if you like him well enough, you can also retain him as your attorney. That's my first rule. You need an attorney. Why do you need an attorney? Because you're dealing with one of the agencies that's the worst you ever come across. They're not transparent. They're not friendly. They don't like mothers or fathers. They don't like seniors or elders. They don't like grandparents. And they're out there to make money off you. They're out to make money off you. They're out to make money, lots of money. And in my case, my three kids were getting, they were getting the CPS in Orange County was getting $60,000 from the state, who got it from the federal government. Now, if you had 100 families with three people, it'd be $6 million a month. And you tell me that's how much it costs to take care of children. They're very corrupt. They work on bonuses. It's an $80 billion business. And I'm sad to say. So, you know, dealing in CPS is like you're in Alice in Wonderland. You fell in that rabbit hole and you're in a crazy place where nothing makes sense. Things like off with your head, you go from room to room to go nowhere. That's CPS. So you need that attorney to navigate, to protect your child. Now I had to sell my home to hire him. He was my attorney. He did get back two of my three children. The three older ones weren't involved. They were grown up and living out of the home at the time this incident was happening. And I was falsely charged with neglect. And how you doing? And I was really, really saddened by this because not only did they charge me incorrectly, they took my children who were at school. Now, since when is school in imminent danger? Why would they take them from school? They're not in imminent danger. It seems now that anytime there's a CPS case and allegation is placed by a layman or a professional, CPS believes it's true and you're guilty until you're proven innocent. And right away, they want to come to your home and take your child, whether they have probable cause or not, whether in imminent danger. They're such, they're just lunatics. You know, here's an example of two social workers. Well, eight social workers or one. This first scenario was eight social workers who had worked for 25 years in CPS protecting children, and they're in Prescott, Arizona. But sometime in 2022, decided to wear pink T-shirts with stenciled on the front "Professional Child Kidnappers," and on the back they said, "Do you know where your children are?" And that is the mindset of these social workers. That's what I'm trying to tell you. They're bad. They're evil. They were fired because they were parading around at Walmart and Target, and it just really sent a wrong message out there. And they were fired as well as the director. But I'm telling you, you have to be careful. You know, if you're going to get open heart surgery, you're going to get a professional doctor. Well, CPS is like open heart surgery. It's that critical. And in that situation of open heart surgery, you as a layperson are not going to open up your heart to do the work. You're not going to get your family member to do it or a friend to do it. You won't get a plumber or auto mechanic to do it. You're going to get a professional doctor, a doctor who's gone to medical school, has done an internship, has a license, and then mentored another doctor before they start cutting open the chest. Well, CPS has to be treated the same way. That's why you need an attorney. And I don't mean a court appointed attorney. That's going to be a waste of time. They're not in there to help you. They just are stuck in a place they hate. They usually have a client load of 30 people and they will not talk to you to the day of the hearing. So it's very difficult to deal with individuals like this. They're not fighters, and you want to be a fighter. You do. But there is hope. There's hope there by following these rules. Get that attorney. It'll turn your case around. I waited too long. I lost my daughter. My two boys, Vince and Davis, got back. And yes, I had to sell my home, but it was worth it because my family is back together except for one child. And the mistakes I made were stupid mistakes. One of my other rules is that you need to keep track of your paperwork and be organized with it. I didn't. I thought the case would be over soon. I believed kind of what the CPS were saying. I'm also a little weak right now because I haven't had food in 4 days. Oh boy, I'm really hungry. and think I was due a paycheck on Friday and never materialized. So this marks the fourth day with no food. And it makes you kind of weak at times. But there is hope at this hardened tunnel. That rule number two, if you organize your paperwork, it will help. You need to get a notebook 6 inches thick, stuff it full of college rule notebook paper, then get some subject tabs and organize your paperwork. You need a section called incidents, another section called info, another section called parenting classes, another section called programs, another section called court papers. Um, as you see where I'm going with this, is I'm taking your pile and try to organize it. The incident, you want to make yourself a log of every incident that has happened by your case. You want to start off with the date, the time, the location, the number of people involved. Then you want to describe what the incident was about, in a couple sentences. And then you want to put the outcome of the incident, what transpired, what happened. And so, what you can do is keep track. So 6 months from now, you'll remember what happened, and if your attorney needs something, or court needs something, or you need something, it's very important because your case will last at least a year or longer. Mine was 3 years. Some people are 5, 6, 10 years. So it's really sad because you think it'd be over there. They tell you that within 48 days it'll be over, but there's no way. There's no way. The courts are slow. The judges are crooked. The social workers' attorneys are bad. The children's, they're given all these court appointed attorneys. If you have children and you want a real good attorney for representing them, then you need to hire him and pay for it. You need to hire and pay for it. But going back to rule number two, it's very important that you keep track of your court papers, punch holes in them, and arrange them by dates. Make a log of your court papers. Make a log of your parenting classes, and put the certificates in there. Hole punch them, put the the certifications. Same thing goes with the program. Program like anger and violence or domestic violence or um, the rehab, the drug rehab program, anger management. Those things are all important programs. You need to put the list of the incidents, the times it was completed, and a little about what the that particular program did for you. Um, Also, with your paperwork, you have a tab called information, and that's where all the people you found out about CPS and the phone numbers and the websites and so forth. And you can do that too. Now, highlighters come in handy too, so that you can highlight things, you can find things more easier. So, yellow and pink are good colors to try. But keep that notebook up to date and keep it with you all times. And just put your CPS in there. Another thing you want to put in there that be related to CPS is that you want to put your children's birth certificate and make sure you got them. A lot of parents will not pick them up when the child's born, and social CPS will get them from the vital records and put the foster care people in there. So it's very important. You get birth certificates before you leave the birthing room, and that your child's listed as well as their social security number and the father mother listed. Because if they're not, the child will be trafficked very easily by CPS. You put that in there. You also want to put the kids' school records in there. You know, their grade report and what year they're in and so forth. You put their school records together. Now it should move on to the very important rule number 3. You should not talk to social workers or police. That's a no-no. You do not allow them in your home. You don't allow them to take your child. And you learn how to say no, yes, no answers. And if anytime you feel uncomfortable with a social worker or police, just say, time out. I need to talk to my attorney. You're entitled to that privilege. If you don't like what's coming down, you have a right to be a timeout and get that help. Now, they can come in your home on 2 occasions or 2 different types. One, if there's intimate danger happening, like there's a fight in progress, child is being slammed against the wall, the child is being choked. There's domestic violence, parents are squabbling with each other. They can come into the home because of that. The other way is they have a court order to come and take your child and inspect the home. If they have a court order, then what you need to do, um, it has to be on a legit form. It's got to be signed by the judge, a wet signature. It's got an emboss. It has to have an embossed symbol on the paper, a raised part of the paper that you can feel. Then it's got to be explicit of the date, who the person that they're accusing, what allegations, what children, and so forth. They need to show you that paper. And if that paper doesn't look right, you don't have to allow them in. You can question them. Now, another thing about letting them into your home is that you have to be careful. There's a story I'm going to tell you about a young black man who was 23 at the time, and oh boy, sorry, and he opened the door and he was shot 5 times point blank, and he's dead. It happened on May 3rd. Seemed like a nice man. He was in the Air Force, an airman. He left his high school in Alabama and gone and joined the Air Force. He was a respectable airman. But apparently, the police officer from the Gainesville, Florida, thought his life didn't matter and took his life very shamelessly. The police officer was white. I don't know if he was scared of his life or something or why he did what he did, but he was out on a domestic violence call, and he talked to the landlord of the place or the manager of the place, and she showed him where she thought it could have been him. But he made no determination like check around the premises, listen his ear to the wall, talk to neighbors to see if something's going on. You know, um, he just banged a bunch of times, said nothing. So the airman got nervous. He had right to bear arms. He had a gun with him, but the gun was in a down pointing position. It was not pointing at the door. First of all, that sheriff could have been killed staying in front of that door. That's the worst place to be if you're doing an investigation. You need to be to the side of the door, jam, squat down low. And when you knock, knock firmly, but knock and have a pleasant hello there. Because if you sound really gruff and angry, that's how it's going to escalate. People do not have people skills. If you suspect domestic violence, identify who you are. You're Officer Jones with the Gainesville Police Department. You got to call in domestic violence. Is there anyone else in this room besides you? And the guy could say no. And then you could tell the guy that, hey, look, I need to have you open the door. Didn't have a warrant, so the guy could ignore that. But the guy could have came to the door and said, um, well, here's the officer should have directed the guy to just, if you had a weapon, put it to his side, not hang on to it, put his hands behind his head and lay on the floor. First, you had to unlock the door. Then the officer could have opened the door from the side, down low, and assessed the situation. He could have got on the guy from behind and handcuffed him. He could have searched the premises for anybody else. After you search the premises, everything would have been fine. The guy would still be alive. And if they want to pursue it further, then the officer will have to investigate. But the whole thing was a waste of a life. Why? Because the guy was black? Why? Why was it? And his officer was terminated. They investigated for a week and then he was let go and terminated. That's really great. Now they'll sue the officer and the police department. They have a national attorney. The whole thing is sad, though. It makes you think, why answer the door? You need to hide out. You don't need to be, that way in the door. So as a rule of thumb is you hide out. You don't open the door. And you'd be surprised how many people open the door. I did. I didn't open the door. CPS workers had a detective follow me when I picked up my child, and then they had me pulled over black and white, and then speak to the detective. He said who ordered me to come home. I should not have listened to that. I said, look, if there's a traffic violation, give it to me. If it's a criminal, go ahead and arrest me. But instead, I was trying to be very cooperative, a good, likable kind of guy. So I went to my home. I went to my home. It was the worst scene you ever saw. 5 firemen with their fire truck was out there. 3 social workers. Why 3? I don't know. 2 code enforcement, 2 uniformed policemen, and then the detective. Why with so many people? And all they want to do is check your place, and I should never let them in. I'd let the social workers in before, and they had found nothing. But unfortunately, a perfect storm was brewing, and not only did I lose my job in 2010, which is hard to take, I had my lay people, my in-laws from my wife's side, call in falsifying complaints. I didn't know at first if it was them, I would have done something about it, but it was them, and I found that out later. But not only did I lose my job, my parents were dying, and that's a hard thing when your mom and dad die. So I was dealing with their belongings. I took their 4,000 belongings and put them into my 3,000 square foot belongings. They had 4,000 square feet of belongings, plus they were together for 55 years. So they had a lot of things. I didn't have the money for a storage unit. I was sorting them out. I was sorting them out in my home, and they charged me neglect. Charged me and my wife. with neglect. That was wrong. They weren't in imminent danger. I want to say hello to T Jan. Thank you very much for coming back. I remember you from last time. I can't remember. Are you from Utah? I can't remember what city and state you're from, T Jan. And how can I help you? How can I help you, T Jan? T Jan, if you want to call in and talk about your case, the phone line is open. It's 626 698 0990. Love to have you talk on this podcast. Right now, we're going through my rules. I'm just starting to finish rule number 3, which is don't open doors, don't talk to social workers. Another aspect of this one is that there's medical trafficking goes on. That is where you take your child to urgent care because they're sick in the middle of the night and you want to, you're worried about them. Be very careful because there's social workers that work at those hospitals. They will take your child. There's this thing they have to take kids. I don't know what they're, well, it's money, but they get away with it. There's no check and balances. There's no board of supervisor directors watching them. And these social workers aren't trained. They don't have a college degree or a license to do what they're doing. They don't have any training that I've come across. But Jan, T John, I don't know what your case is. Is T Jan? I'm sorry, T Jan. Do you know what your CPS case is, or how can I help you? What city and state are you from? I think you're from Utah. If I'm mistakenly, I think you are, but I could be wrong. But medical trafficking is bad. Another aspect of medical trafficking is you could be having a child being birthed. You need to prearrange to no one allowed in your birthing room except you or your family or whoever you want your loved ones in there. But you certainly don't want the CPS worker or the policeman come into your birthing room and take your child. They will do it. They will do it. You just need to tell them to get out of there, just to go in the lobby or have the hospital escort them out. Furthermore, you need to talk ahead of time about that and tell them that no one is allowed in your room, including police or social workers. So that's medical trafficking. So learn to talk to social workers by yes no answers. And if you ever do get in a crunch, you feel uncomfortable, just tell them, time out. I need to talk to my attorney. That's your right. You're entitled to do that. You're entitled to be represented by an attorney every step of the way. And what you're in is a really nightmare. It's really, really bad. You got to be really, really, really careful. Okay, I'm going to move on to rule number 4, which is an easy one, but it involves a lot of work. You have to spend probably a good 40 hours investigating about CPS in your town or city or county, state. You need to find out all there is about CPS, how it works, how it functions, what are its points, how to make complaints. Do I go to the state? Do I, how you do those things? You need to look up everything. It's very important to use the right words. Now, an easy way is you can start off by saying CPS in the city and state. So CPS Houston, Texas, CPS San Francisco, California, CPS um, Atlanta, Georgia. So what you're going to find is a lot of things about CPS. What you're trying to find is very unusual. So then you have to further search. And I know that You can do that. So that's my rule number 4 is to know everything is about your. I would want to say they're like an enemy. The social workers are like an enemy, and it's very important. The internet is rich, and it's your key to winning your case is to use the internet. There's so much in there to learn. So much to learn. Like one thing has been this ICWA, Indian Child Welfare Act, and that was passed in 1978. It was supposed to help out Indian children being um, trafficking all the time. It was terrible. It was terrible because what would happen is that in 1875 the children would be put on reservations, and they're told to no longer wear their clothing and to change, their looks, to know where their culture and stuff. They were trying to erase all that. It was sad. They're put in Indian schools. Well, they've been also CPS has been adopting these Indian children out all the time. So what the rule of 1978, it took them 140 years, but they figured it out. But what this rule basically says is that if the child is an Indian child, and it has to be verified if they're registered or could be registered, and there's 547 federal recognized tribes, so your tribe's going to be one of them. Um, Mine, I don't know if it was easy, but I looked up the word, you know, child. Well, you do CPS and then you say Atlanta, Georgia, and that's just going to give you broad things. You want to go in further, you want to go see the cases brought up. How good is the judge? How do you complain against a judge? How do you complain about the social worker? So the internet, that rule 4 is very, very important. It's very, very important. You need to spend some time on that. I have TJ on here. If you want to call in T, you're welcome to. My number is 626-698-0990. Or if you want to text me a question, I'll gladly try to help you there. I'll try to help you. So I'm telling you that as long as you be persistent and follow those rules, get yourself an attorney, organize your notes, your notebook, say no to social workers, and don't let them take your child. And then lastly, educate yourself on the CPS. You go a long ways. Now, I told you about the pink ladies parading around with the stencil on the front, professional child kidnappers, and on the back, do you know where your children are? Well, there's another lady in Chicago, Illinois, who works for the social work. She says that. She posted on her YouTube video um, really something really, really bad. It said basically, um, um, with these rules, and especially with your attorney, you go so much further. But this lady from Chicago, Illinois, and I don't know why she was black. She posted an ad on her webpage that said "Black children for sale." Now, this is the year 2024. What does a black woman have to gain from putting in an ad that black children are for sale? Black children for sale. That was in 1848 an ad, and she put it on her Facebook in year 2024. What was the message the black social worker was trying to convey here? Help me out here because I still don't understand. Those are the kind of individuals you're dealing with. Social workers that are professional kidnappers, social workers that chase your child down. Now, I mentioned about the ICWA. There's another one called the 388 motion, and that is a petition that you file to have the judge hear your new information. Like, say you completed your classes and you want to present to get the court to do it. You're going to file the 388 motion. Now, in California, it's called the 388. Oklahoma, it's a 388. Maine's a 388. But other states, it may not be called a 388. It may be a different number or just the name uh, to file a petition. So, as long as everybody's served, you do so, and they within 30 days will have that hearing, and you can present your new evidence that you completed these classes and done your best there. So keep in mind, there's a lot of subjects that are on here. There's the HIPAA compliance reporting, and the HIPAA is something that you may come across. Let me see here. Now, let me see here. You also want to look at an important document called the Child Welfare Service Program Intake. It's all about the child protection services and what they do. Some of the topics they have is emergency response protocol, in-person investigations, in-person immediate investigation, in-person investigation within 10 calendar days, um, investigation requirements, law enforcement assistance, authority for removal of the child. Now that's really important there. Authority for removal of a child. It is really. Let me see here. That's on 31-135. So we see here. Let me see if I can find what it's talking about here. All right, so maybe it goes to the next page. Hmm. Here's this an interesting of this case plan. When it has been determined that child welfare services are to be provided, the social worker shall complete assessment. An assessment is complete for each child for whom the child welfare services are to be provided. Includes gathering and calculating information relative to the case situation and appraising this case um, service needs. In the case of Indian child, the assessment shall include active efforts as specified. The assessment shall be knowledge. So that's just a sample of one of the documents that are so important on there. The flow chart is also a very important one. I love the flow. But let me go back here to, let me see here. T, is there anything further you'd like to say? I don't know if you're from Utah or not. I do remember you before. But to all my other listeners, I want to thank you for your emojis. I love the hearts and the thumbs up and the smiley faces. That's good. I appreciate that. I do want to do what you'd like me to do and answer your questions and help you out with your case. Because what you're going through is a very terrible experience. You feel helpless. You feel really helpless. Let me see here. I don't know where my regular people are, but I mean, they took the day off. I guess everybody. It's hard to get excited sometimes about CPS because it can be so dreadful and so dreary. I mean, it really is. I mean, they should have a better way of taking care of your children, but they don't. They don't. Now, let me see here another subject here. Uh, Now, someone told me the other day about the Family First Preventive Service Act, the FFSPA. Now, Georgia has this. It's called the Family First um, Preservation Act. The FFPSA is a bipartisan bill that reforms many of the federal child welfare financial mechanisms to help better support families. The bill aims to prevent children from entering foster care by allowing federal reimbursement for family preservation service to families and children. Also, the FFPSA seeks to improve the well being of children already in foster care by incentivizing statutes to utilize family based care, ensure necessary placement in residential treatment situations. They want to reduce the number of children entering the foster system, providing intensified family support services to children who are identified as candidates for foster care and their family, including kinship care, homes, and reunification. Support for new model programs that utilize evidence-based practice model. Then it talked about Iowa, a child who's a candidate for foster care following a CPS investigation has exited foster care and done that. Uh, so um, there's a lot that you can learn from that. There's no question about that. I have about 5 minutes left before I must end our podcast. It may not have been a very happy time. It's hard when you don't have anybody call in or be a guest or not there, and you sort of ramble and talk about your case and how it can relate to there. But I do thank all the listeners out there. They may not have said something, but we've had about 10 people listening. And um, I do hope that I can give you some hope out there that not to give up. It's the hardest thing to give up. And you love your child, and you really are good parents. And apparently you've run into some hiccups, but they can be fixed. So I implore you all to, take really good notes, to educate yourself, and then not to give up, to have a positive attitude and be professional. Make yourself look better than they do. They are really evil people. I don't know how else to explain it to you, but they just are. Everyone I met in my case has been evil, and I've gone to the top. I've gone to the top director in Orange County, and it was really hard to believe that people are like that. You think that they would be different and stuff. And so, anyway, um, you got to hang in there. It's the hardest part. Like when your kids are first taken from you, you should ask right away, can I put them with my, well, you don't say can, you say, I need to put my kids with next of kin. If they're out of state, it's no big problem. Don't let them try to force you. You're entitled to put your kids where you think it's safe. It's called a safety plan. And, you may have a family member or something that would be safe on that. So don't forget that safety plan is for you, the place, someone to watch your kids or take care of your kids while you're going through the CPS thing, what they're doing, what they're not doing, and so forth. Um, I think the hardest thing to do is when you feel so helpless, and that's why having my rule number one, the attorney, is so valuable because with the right kind of attorney, he can assure you, or rest assure you, what they can do and cannot do. And I feel helpless at times because they're a bad entity. They just lie. They lie and they don't take care of your needs. You as parents are beautiful people and you should not be treated that way. They treat you like the scum of the earth. They believe all the allegations and they're not true. These allegations, most 99% of the time, are not true. But CPS think they are and they have to treat it that way. And that part has to change. I know it has to change there. So I want to thank you all for listening. I will see you tonight at 7 o'clock Eastern Time, and we'll talk more. I hope all you keep trying and have a great day. God bless you. And this is Bob Pace signing off.